Let's begin. What questions do you have for us this evening?
Okay, thank you for coming. I was just wondering, is there a specific purpose and or reason for certain plants like ayahuasca, marijuana, and other such plants, hallucinogenics? Are they here for a specific reason?
Oh, most certainly, and they fulfill their function and their purpose.
Which is to give people a shortcut, give them a vision of what could be.
It is a pathway to connecting with the self and also with the spirit world and spirits outside the individual. It is a plant assistance for this process, an enhancement for the process which is natural. So to connect with one's higher self and with spirit guides is a natural process, and these plants enhance the process.
Well, then it sounds like everybody should do that.
Well, we're not in the business of telling people what to do, but it is certainly a very normal and natural process. What is not natural is the conjuring of so many chemicals and other things ingested by the body.
How about things like LSD, chemicals made by man?
Well, let men consume what men make if they please, and those who are concerned with God could consume what God has made.
So then why does, with ayahuasca, but from what I hear, people who do that is they throw up and they have diarrhea and they go through this period in the very beginning that does not sound very fun.
Well, this can be a result of the amount of the plant they are ingesting.
Oh.
And also, it can be a part of a detoxification and a release of denser energies. When a window is open to the soul, one must be prepared to look at whatever is there. And sometimes these are dark and difficult things, not just the heavenly.
Okay, so can you tell me why when I tried LSD, it did nothing, not much to me? Is it just different body types, different chemistries respond differently?
Well, of course, it is that way with any drug.
I took it to understand that that just wasn't my path.
Yes, we would agree.
Okay. So then I guess that like mushrooms are okay for those who choose that pathway.
Yes, of course, it is a natural substance. It is the fruit of Mother Earth. Of course, there is common sense and reason to be applied.
Seems like that would be more attractive than ayahuasca, at least to me anyway. So are plants of this nature found on other planets, like in the Pleiades, or are they used on and grow on other planets?
Other planets certainly have their own plant kingdoms with all manner of variety of plants, and yes, some of them are used to induce spiritual experiences, expansions of consciousness.
I don't think I've asked about this, so do like on most of the 5D and up planets, do they not require food as nourishment?
It depends upon the species and their environment and their choices as a collective.
And so,
There are some who are in the body and others who are not.
so the same thing for water.
Yes.
And do most of the planets that have life have water?
Yes.
So that is absolutely one of the necessities for having life as we know it.
As you would define it.
So,
But there are those in light bodies that do not require any sort of sustenance.
so one of the things that I explain to people, to patients, which I don't remember I was told that, I think I came up with that or intuited that or got it from a higher place, was that when it comes to acupuncture and you come to talking about the balance of yin and yang, and I explained to people that the two things that are necessary for life as we know it is fire and water. That represents yin and yang. And so if you have too much yang, too much fire, you consume the water. And if you have too much yin, too much water, you put out the fire. So that's why we talk about a balance. And what we're trying to do as acupuncturists is balance the yin and the yang of the organ systems and of the body.
Yes, thank you.
That is correct?
Yes.
And is it also true that dolphins and whales were put here? They're kind of aliens, if you will, put here on this planet.
They chose to incarnate here in a form that is very much like their original form on their home planets. And they chose to come here for the purpose of their evolution. They are nearing the end of their time on Earth and have achieved the spiritual evolution for which they came, for the most part.
So are you saying that in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years or something, we will not have whales and dolphins on the planet?
Well, your timeline is inaccurate, but yes, there will be a time. This process has begun, the phasing out of the species from the planet, and they will begin to incarnate off-world. And over time, yes, they will cease to exist here.
So are there other animals in that same category that chose to incarnate here that are of higher beings? And is it true? It seems like the animals are maybe 2D, but it seems like they're becoming more and more like humans, which means that maybe they're becoming more and more moving into 3D.
Yes, as an animal becomes aware of the self, they may move into 3D.
Are there lots of souls waiting and wanting to incarnate on this planet now?
What souls do you speak of?
Well, I don't know, just a lot of, supposedly a lot of us who are here now, who incarnated now, did it on purpose because of this particular time on this planet. And I was just wondering if there's, for some reason I have in my mind that there are these, I don't know what you want to call them, souls, spirits, or whatever, beings that would want to incarnate on this planet. It seems like to me, I have this idea that there's a whole lot of them that are waiting to get in. And I don't know if that's true.
Well, that is a presupposition, but
Right.
we would say that the majority of souls who wish to incarnate for the time of transition that you would call a mass awakening or mass ascension are already here. Mm-hmm. There are some exceptions to that, and there will be some, we would say, recycling of souls that will transition out and then back again for this time. But most of the souls who wish to be here for these events are currently incarnate here, or in the ether of the fourth and perhaps fifth dimension.
It seems like maybe that, from what I hear, if it's true, that there's lots of teenagers, college kids, maybe others who are committing suicide. Is there people who decided that they'd rather not go through whatever might happen in the next few years, so they decided to go ahead and leave their body and leave the planet at this time?
No, any soul that is aware of things to come would likely not want to leave. The desire to leave comes from a shrouding of the mind, a shrouding of the clair senses by the culture and conditioning. And so the soul has a knowing that there is more, and yet the soul looks through the eyes of the body, of the personality around them, to the culture, to the voices, to the influences, and reads the hopelessness and cannot find at times light, understanding, messages of hope and awakening. The soul in the experience of the body and personality is not experiencing the reality of love and hope and light that it knows on a soul level to be true. And so the soul wishes to leave and return home, not having found home here. And so this is a call to action for old souls to be a safe and wise and loving home for young souls. Or we should say more accurately, the souls of the young.
Okay. So it seems like that some of these newer generations are wired differently, especially when it comes to things like electronics and all. It seems like it takes me forever how to do anything on a computer or a cell phone. And I have other people older who say the same thing, but you hand one to a 5-year-old and they know how to do everything in 10 minutes.
That is correct. They have an addendum of an artificial intelligence. So their intelligence is largely and grossly expanded by their use of devices. And so they have an expansive intelligence at their fingertips at all times.
So computers and cell phones and things of that nature actually can be an aid to spiritual growth?
Of course. Your wife, this vessel, has in her hand many, for perhaps hours a day, the universal mind, universal intelligence, global consciousness she holds in her hand. And based upon her choice of how she accesses this universal mind, she is accessing the resources of enlightened beings and highly consciously evolved people. And this is an intelligence that becomes her own. You might call it artificial. It is not artificial. It is living thought forms and ideas, and that can have spiritual authority and power. They are delivered through a device that operates on artificial intelligence. And so there is literally in the palm of her hand a global consciousness, as are for most. So we understand there is a terror around artificial intelligence, and there is a healthy and important need for some fear and also for some caution and for wisdom. However, the issue is a moot point. The artificial intelligence is here. It's not that it is coming, it is here.
So what about, it seems like that these younger kids, these younger generations, they can't entertain themselves. It seems like they have to be playing games or doing something on the website. And it seems like they spend an awful lot of time on YouTube looking at things that aren't that informative. And they also don't seem to have such a great memory, it seems like. Because, I don't know, because maybe everything is stored in their computer or their cell phone.
Correct. There is no need for memory when you hold one in your hand.
So that's not detrimental then.
Well, the brain of humanity is evolving and changing in light of the current conditions of technology. And so it is yet to be seen what the mind will do with the power and memory capacity that has been and will continue to be released by the use of devices. So it is not important for any human to store facts and figures, data and information when the device in their hand can do this for them. So how will they use their mental capacity?
Yeah, but some of the younger people that I've had work as receptionists, I have to keep telling them the same thing over and over again because they don't remember.
Yes, brains are being rewired. The attention is being shortened and shortened and shortened and shortened.
Okay.
And so their brains are losing the capacity to retain information.
So then is there anything anything that may be detrimental to human beings if they start having these implants put into their brains so they can connect with computers and other things without having to have one on them? Are we turning into a machine if we keep doing this?
That will be a choice. And you will find that there will be, in coming days, more of a polarization on this issue. There will be those who will take a stance that humans should be rid of all of these devices and technologies and should return to simple, earthbound lives without the use of technology. There will be others who will herald and cheer for this new day of humanity in their understanding or their desire that humans will begin to integrate artificial intelligence into their physical form. And there will be many who will try to straddle the middle of these two polarized positions for a compromise of some sort. Indeed, many of you are doing it even now. Even now, you are trying to find a middle ground, times which you turn off your devices, times in which you separate them or take breaks from them, and even those of you pursuing a more middle road are struggling to restrict your use of this artificial intelligence.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing to give a 5-year-old a cell phone.
We did not say that. We are saying if you do, it will change the way they function as a human being.
But there's no judgment about that.
Well, we will allow you each and all to make your own choices around this. However, our concern is that as you make these choices, you may not have the foresight or accuracy to see into the future and understand the impact that your choices will make. There will be some who would prefer to go back, even if need be, to a more caveman way of living in order to avoid evolving into humans that are adapted by and integrating artificial intelligence into their bodies and beings. And there are others who will welcome it. And there are already humans who have welcomed artificial intelligence into their body through the use of prosthetics and so on, various devices, heart monitors and implants and so on, devices that work with a high degree of intelligence and an extraordinary technology. And they have welcomed these devices because of the way that it expands their life expectancy and the quality of their life. And you have all applauded this change. Now, though, quickly, when the humans you think of, your brain however, as being more sacred territory. And so when these devices, artificially intelligent devices and technologies begin to be used in the brain, there will be a different resounding voice around that.
I think this would be where having ETs come to the planet to say, okay, this civilization went down this road and this is what happened to them, and this civilization did it this way and this is what happened to them, so that we can
Yes,
make a
that
better
is correct.
we could make a better judgment about which way we wanted to go.
Yes, and there will be much deliberation and indeed a great pressure and urgency that will arise around understanding consciousness and the existence of soul and the definition of what a soul is and what a consciousness is, because these definitions and understandings will help the collective to make decisions about parameters for these technologies that are swiftly upon you. You see, and so it is important, the teachings that we give through this vessel and others, to understand who are you, what is it about you that makes you who you are, what parts of you are eternal, what is the definition of life, what is it that gives you life force energy, what is it that makes you different from other, if you are different from other beings that are alive, and what are you willing to sacrifice to maintain the purity of your soul, and what can you add to yourself in the sense of enhancements, if anything, that will enhance the function of your soul, and will it enhance the function of your soul or detract from it?
Well, I can see, it seems to me that in the future we have some pretty human-looking robots now, and I could see where one of these days they're going to be trying to take somebody's brain and transfer it into one of these, and or take somebody's consciousness, which evidently a body is just a vehicle, so the consciousness can be taken from that vehicle and put into a robot. And I could see where this is probably going to be tried.
Yes, but before that, there will be humans who are born from a mother's womb who will take on robotic body parts and enhancements. They will be called, or the claims will be to enhance human consciousness with various technological upgrades, they will be called. And so it is actually going to be the opposite of what you say. So rather than robots becoming humans, the first phases will be humans becoming more robotic. Does that make sense?
Yes, and
so each human will have to decide what and if they want to add these enhancements, and they must decide at what point, if any, are these altering the state of their soul and their spiritual condition.
I can just see the arguments we're going to have in sports. It's like, okay, that's going to be the end of sports. If we have people that are coming who have robotic legs, who can run 3 times faster than a natural human, and who can jump 3 times higher, so then sports, that's the end of sports. or sports as we know it.
That is one of many myriads of functions that will come into question and be overhauled. For instance, the entire academic system. You see, if humans currently hold in their hand an artificial intelligence, once the artificial intelligences become integrated into the body, there is no way to evaluate academically any person's work then, and there will be very little it will the lines will be blurred between an entity, humans, individual thought forms that are created of their own consciousness, and those that they might have adopted from artificial intelligence. You see, already this is a very common thing that happens to everyone. You see, you absorb so much information, such large quantities of information, and then you express it later in a conversation or a thought in a very natural human way, as humans do. And you may not even realize, you may think it is an original thought that you are thinking, but perhaps it is not. Perhaps it is a thought that you acquired from the consciousness, from mass consciousness, through some influences, through one or more or a myriad of influences. And so your brain, being the miraculous thing that it is, has assimilated meaning from so many different sources from which you have received imprints or information, and out of that your brain has processed all of the input, and you express it in your own idea. But is that an original idea, or is it artificial intelligence?
And there goes the end of college and school, because if you can just get it downloaded into you, you don't need to go to college or school.
Exactly.
Which will be a shame, because that's one of the most fun things people have.
Well, we're not saying that they will come to an end, but we'll say that the way they exist currently will either change dramatically or it will come to an end.
So then if we can enhance the heart with intelligence and all that other stuff, I think we need to find a way, or the brain, I think we need to find a way to enhance the heart for love.
Well, we think that a beautiful way to begin to shift educational pursuits would be to have children and young people in nature thinking and working to support the earth, life, plants, animals, the environment, and so on, busy employing their creativity in support of the earth.
Yes. Absolutely. That would be heaven on earth.
So the takeaway from all of this discussion tonight, for those who are listening, again, we will always say, look inside your own heart. Know your heart. Know the purpose of your soul. Open your heart, your soul, to the love, the joy, the peace of Source. Understand what the journey of your soul is for. Know what is important to you. And when you have sufficiently excavated the territory of your own heart and found meaning there, then you will instinctively know how to respond in days to come. And there need be no fear ever, for there are many, many planets, many planets who have already undergone such changes as the ones we speak of here, and there are many planets who have successfully navigated these shifts, and the beings there, the souls there, live in harmony, in beauty, and even extravagant harmony and beauty, not only with technology, but with the plants and animals and other species there on their planet. And so there are ways for all of these things to flow together in harmony and service to others and to source. And these ways can be found for those who have faith and trust in the divinity that resides in the souls of humanity.
Yes. I'm starting to fade out, starting to zone out.
Okay, we will let you go this evening.